How did you guys come together as a group? Have you guys known each other for a long time?
Not all of us. Actually, our bass player and I go way back. I met him in, I think he was in the 5th grade and I was in 6th grade. He actually lives like kitty quarter across the street from me. So that's how we met.
Wow.
And
5th grade?
Yeah, really young. And he actually left the band for a little bit and came back. So I'm actually the only original member.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the other ones, just touring and social media. Met Craig and Tyler on MySpace. It's weird to think that we've been a band that long.
How have you guys changed as a band since your first album?
Our first EP we put out, we were young and it wasn't a concept record. It didn't have the artistic value that we have now, I would say. We kind of listened to our management, because like I said, we were young. This is our first EP, and they were telling us like the right things to do. Right.
Yeah, sure.
And we did it, and we got a decent EP out of it, but it wasn't what we wanted, and I think that translated. The full length records that's when we started doing like the concepts.
Started gelling as far as ideas and concepts and that kind of thing.
The first one actually. We wanted to do a story that followed Phantom of the Opera.
Oh wow.
So that was going to be the first concept record.
That's ambitious.
Yep, and our, yeah, exactly right. And our management said, don't do that, it's a terrible idea.
What?
And what they meant was like, don't do concept records. What I said, I was like, alright, we won't do that, we'll write our own.
Yeah.
No! So we did it anyways, and we got Two-Faced Straight out of it. And then we just kept doing our own thing, and that's where we were happy.
I imagine it's really hard for young bands to get their own voice out there, but then also take advice from people that have been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, you gotta find...
Knowing that line of, is your creativity actually more important than going in the direction that somebody thinks is going to make you more successful?
And that is a scary line to walk.
I bet.
Especially as a young artist. It's your whole future hopes and dreams, and they're telling you everything not to do, and you feel deeply, that that's the right thing to do, and it's a very torn feeling, but you gotta just kind of stick with your heart.
Who or what are your influences musically?
What? You nailed it. It's not really a who, it's a what, and for me, it's really the concept itself. Like we'll get the story first, and then I'll kind of visualize the story, and each song is kind of like a cliff note of the story, a main point.
And a concept album doesn't have to be...
It doesn't have to be a story. You can have loose concepts. The way we do it is it's very story specific.
But explain more to the viewer about the idea for the Incubus and the concept of that album, your newest album.
It's about a suburban stay-at-home mother, housewife mother in the 1950s, post-World War II. And she starts mysteriously blacking out and having these really fucked up nightmares. And, fast forward to the middle of the album, spoiler alert, it ends up that her husband is this deranged psychopath who's been drugging her and raping her. And he's been doing this to other women for years. So he's been leading this completely separate double life. And,
is that Christine?
Yeah, Christine.
Now, I read somewhere that you've also got a Huffington Post story that accompanies the album.
Well, they just, when we announced what the album was about, they did a post about it.
Wow.
Like a little editorial.
That's really cool.
But it's not really about her, getting, abused. The story is that's just what happens to her. The story is about her overcoming that. She comes out of it in the end without it destroying who she really is. And for me, like that was a huge challenge. Not the kind of challenge that they face, like victims face. It was a challenge for me being a 24-year-old white male singing in the shoes of this woman in the 50s.
Right. How would you do that?
A lot of research.
Okay.
A lot of research and talking to a lot of different fans who have also been victims of domestic and sexual abuse. And I mean, I could never 100% truly capture how they feel.
Right.
Ever. But I really, really tried my hardest to put myself into Christine's shoes to properly portray how she was feeling.
Wow.
And it was a really big learning experience for me.
That's heavy.
It was very heavy.
Life changing?
Yes, absolutely. Like, I was so grossly uneducated that it kind of, I mean, it really opens your eyes to how much people don't realize what's really going on.
I saw that you guys are pretty much at the tail end of the tour in the home
One more
stretch.
show, yeah.
And how's the tour been? And do you have a lot of experience touring? Does it ever get easier? Do you love it? Is it work?
I love it. It's all of those things. It does get easier, but then it gets harder. And then it gets easier, and then it gets harder. And then you love it, and then you hate it. And then, because, you know, like I said, I'm a dad, so I have to leave my family at home. But they understand. Which, I mean, she's gonna be 8, July 12th.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and she still understands. She still supports me, which is just.
And she's a fan of your music, I'm assuming.
She's #1 fan.